Resiliency Drive. I'm Ernie Manous.
And I'm guest host, Houston Public Media reporter Michael Adkison. Why are conservatives, environmentalists, ranchers, and river guides suddenly on the same side of one of Texas's biggest political fights? Diana Spechler is here to explain the growing resistance to a proposed border wall in Big Bend.
Plus, State Senator Carol Alvarado joins us to discuss the fallout from the death of Lorenzo Salgado Arrojo and the growing response across Houston.
And as always, we want to hear from you, so give us a call or text at 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. You can also watch us live on YouTube by going to houstonpublicmedia.org.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, by Metro, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. The U.S. military carried out a wave of airstrikes in Iran over the weekend and said a third U.S. service member had been killed in military operations since Friday. Iran retaliated with attacks on Bahrain, home of the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet, and says it disabled 2 oil tankers that attempted to transit the Strait of Hormuz without Iran's permission. Global oil prices remain elevated, at one point topping more than $90 per barrel. A new British Prime Minister now occupies 10 Downing Street. Labour Party leader Andy Burnham has taken the reins after he met with King Charles III at Buckingham Palace. Former Prime Minister Keir Starmer tendered his resignation to the monarch in his final remarks today as Prime Minister Starmer defended his administration.
I am confident that Britain is now stronger and fairer than it was 2 years ago.
But Starmer was unable to survive a series of political missteps and internal party strife. Congo says the Ebola has killed 37 people between Friday and Saturday alone, driving up the overall death toll in Congo to at least 930 in the fastest-growing Ebola outbreak on record. There is no approved vaccine or treatment for the virus that caused the latest wave of illnesses and deaths. President Trump says the new Air Force One will be temporarily taken out of commission after security concerns were raised about its defense systems. That reporting has become a news story in its own right. NPR's Danielle Kurtzleben with more.
Trump told reporters yesterday that the plane, which his White House received from Qatar, is going to be getting upgrades.
It has a lot of capability, but as I understand it, in about a month or so, they're going to send it to have it be maxed out. So they're going to be sending it and they'll have it be maxed out. It'll take about a month. Experts have told NPR that the newer jet probably lacks some defensive capabilities other Air Force One planes have, like missile detection, because of how quickly it was retrofitted. The administration has subpoenaed multiple New York Times journalists over their reporting that the Secret Service urged Trump to take an older Air Force One home from a recent trip to Turkey. Danielle Kurtzleben, NPR News.
Happy mayhem at a watch party in Madrid, captured by AP. At the moment, the Spanish men's team defeated Argentina 1-0 and clinched the FIFA World Cup title last night for the first time since 2010. The champions' prize is $51 million. Argentina got $34 million, while the third and fourth place teams, England and France, go home with $30 million and $28 million, respectively. U.S. stocks are mixed this hour. The Dow down 119 points. You're listening to NPR News.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Shelby Rose. We're beginning with breaking news out of Fulshire. A pilot has been taken to the hospital after landing a plane on top of a house along Kitty Hawk Street. ABC 13 reports that several agencies are responding to the situation, and DPS says the pilot was attempting to land at a nearby airstrip. Now, it's unclear if anyone inside the house was injured. The investigation is ongoing. Now, all eyes are on the Gulf as Tropical Depression 2 has formed west of Florida and is moving toward Texas. Cameron Young with the National Weather Service in Houston says they expect it to strengthen into Tropical Storm Bertha as it meanders west along the Gulf states.
There's a lot of wiggle room as far as timing of when we could start to see impacts, but as early as Wednesday night, but most likely heading into the day Thursday and Thursday night.
And Young says the strength of the storm will depend on how long it stays over water as it moves along the coast. And a rising senior at Bel Air High School in Houston ISD is being held by ICE agents. 18-year-old Aleem Garipov was detained Friday at Hobby Airport. News 88.7's Bianca Seward reports.
Garipov immigrated to the United States from Russia 4 years ago. Teachers and students at Bel Air High School are calling for his release. They describe him as a high-achieving and dedicated student. Here's Shepard Gibson, a friend and classmate of Garipov's.
He was probably the most outperforming student I've ever met. He is like the best person I know.
Houston ISD has not responded to requests for comment on the student's detention. I'm Bianca Seward, News 88.7.
Plus, a search is underway for an inmate who escaped from custody at an emergency room in Kingwood Saturday morning. The Liberty County Sheriff's Office says that 31-year-old Yorland Reyes fled on foot after being taken by ambulance to HCA Houston Healthcare in Kingwood for treatment. Authorities say he had suffered a medical emergency, and Reyes was last seen wearing an orange jail jumpsuit and white boxers. Now, these next few days will likely be the hottest of the year to date. 99 degrees for the projected high this afternoon, 100 on the thermometer, coming up tomorrow. I'm Shelby Rose, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Subaru. The 2026 Subaru Outback features new styling as well as standard symmetrical all-wheel drive and EyeSight driver assist technology. Learn more at Subaru.com/Outback.
From Houston Public Media and News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now, Hello Houston. Hello there, Houston. We're in a fresh week. Ernie Manous with you, and joining me in the special guest host chair today, once again, it's Monday. Must be Michael.
Must be Michael. I
Michael
like that.
Adkison is sitting in there. Hello.
Hey, Ernie, how are you?
I am doing well. Anybody who's a regular listener to the station today has already heard you plenty of times on. You've been on all day. Why have you been on?
You can't get rid of me. It's Resiliency Week. We
is.
are pitching and asking for donations because we need to build back our funding following the federal funding cuts that came last year. So we are all going to be on the air all this week talking about building back the Houston Public Media funding base and the Resiliency Fund.
And you know who can talk about that better than either of us?
Who?
Our general manager, Josh Adams, who is joining us in the studio.
You guys are too kind. You're just saying that because I'm sort of your boss.
Because
We're
you're
nervous.
here and we answer to you. Yes, that's exactly why. No, because when you talk about this, and many times we've had these conversations, there is a passion you have for it.
Yep.
And you can tell it's just not, hey, this is what I have to do today is talk about this. This is something you truly care about.
Absolutely. I care about this city. I care about this organization, and I'm hugely passionate about media. Our place in the city is so unique. We are free. We are over the air. We are a resource for all Houstonians. We reach 19 counties. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. And we do it, and this is the part that's the most unique thing about Houston Public Media, about public media in general. We do it because people give us their money to do it.
Mm-hmm.
100% of the money that we use to operate annually comes out of the community. We don't get federal dollars. We don't get state dollars. We don't get university dollars. We enjoy plenty of support from the university in lots and lots of ways. But in terms of the cash it takes to run this organization, we draw 100% of that out of the community with fundraisers like this one.
I want to remind everyone, as we chat, write this number down if something we say motivates you, or even if it doesn't. Give us a call, 888-909-0887. It's a little different than our call-in line, but if you have the call-in line programmed in, call that. They'll give you this number. The donation line, the gift line is 888-909-0887, or you can go to HoustonPublicMedia.org and donate right there. When we talk about this, and people heard all about the cutting of federal funding, and I think a lot of people thought, okay, last year that happened and we rebounded. But it was actually a bigger mission than just that.
Yeah, one of the things that I think was a little bit of a misconception was that the money sort of went away and that was that. Well, actually 2 years of money went away. Congress would forward fund public media and that appropriation by 2 years. And so we always knew what was going to be the case over the next 2 years. So the money that was taken away had previously already been passed into law. They took away this current year, which for us is FY26 funding, and they took away FY27 funding, money that we'd already thought was coming, had already been appropriated, was already part of our budget planning. And so, we're a financially strong organization. We've got some reserves, we've got good planning, we've got good backing, so we're okay. But 10% of your budget going away hurts. It's not nothing, right? And so we've had to make changes. We've had to pivot our business, and we've done that in lots and lots of ways. But I would encourage folks when you hear the story of federal dollars going away, specifically to Houston Public Media, think about everything we've done in the last year. We launched a Galveston bureau. We covered and hosted an amazing World Cup. We've continued to launch shows and launch new efforts. We're really doing really well. The Resiliency Fund, is to make sure we're able to keep doing that. It's to make sure we're able to take dollars, have a little bit of a bridge funding gap so we can make great decisions that are 2, 3, 4, 5-year impact decisions. It's not just money covering money, money in, money out. It's not that kind of deal.
A thing that really impressed me about this, and whenever we do these, and we've asked for years, this is how we support ourselves, this is how this organization runs, asking for community support. But the other side is that, as we always talk about the fiscal responsibility we give back to the money you share with us. Yeah. It's not wasted. It's not spent willy-nilly. It is spent seriously. It is thoughtfully spent. And what I was impressed with this organization that I've been part of this long is you folks actually restructured to be able to make sure we could continue to stay. It wasn't that we lost this funding, now folks have to make it up in the community. Right. We readjusted our business plan.
Look, we saw this on the horizon last spring. It was a possibility, and so we started that planning. But as you said, the planning wasn't, well, how are we going to make the money back so we can keep spending it? Our planning was we have to pivot our business. So almost a year ago to the day, what's today? The 20th, so we're 2 days past. A year ago, the funding went away, and we activated our plan. We raised money for 6 weeks, and at the same time, we pivoted our business from being roughly a $19 million annual operating business to a 17.4 annual operating business. So we're right-sized. We're able to raise the amount of money that we're supposed to raise to run the business. And look, like any business out there, like any household, things change. Money comes in, money goes out. You have hard times, you have good times. Things got to get fixed. You got to invest a little more here. You got to take a little away there. That's constant, but that's just life. That's just business. That's just making sure you're being good stewards of donor dollars. The reality is that the strategy behind the type of business we want to be, the type of organization we want to be, that's rooted in data. It's rooted in audience surveys. It's rooted in feedback from folks in the community. The amount of coffees, breakfast, lunch, afternoon snacks, dinners, and drinks I've had in the last year is amazing. Yeah. All with people who wanted to share perspective with me, share resources with me, let me know what they thought that I was doing really well, what they thought that I wasn't doing so hot with, and all of that. Every single ounce of that feedback goes into the calculus to help make informed decisions as we move forward.
Let me just remind everyone that phone number, 888-909-0887. You can make your gift right now to help support the radio you listen to, the programming you enjoy, the website that keeps you informed.
Let me just say this on that phone number thing. We're so lucky to have an active donor base of around 57,000 people, right? So it's 57,000 people that give us or have given us money kind of in a 12-month span. When Resiliency started a year ago, that number went from 55,000 to 57,000. That means roughly 2,000 people, it's more now, said, hey, I've never given to Houston Public Media, but I value this resource and now I want to give. Yeah. If you are one of those folks, if you're like, man, I listen every day, or I watch online, or I love their shows, now's the time to make a gift and sort of join our group here. Join the cause.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a dinosaur because I always lead with the phone number because I think everyone just wants to pick up the phone and call. But you know what? Michael's generation wants to get online and give it by going to HoustonPublicMedia.org.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak too soon, but I believe we have a triple this hour. So if you donate now, you can get your donation tripled.
What more
so there you go.
There you go.
mean,
If
There's
you give
never been a
$1,
better time to do it.
You give $1, that's $3 to the organization. No more impact on you than your initial gift to us, and we take care of the rest. But the impact on our organization is paramount, and you will recognize it in the quality of the programming and the access to information and the ability to tell you the stories you need to know. Michael, you were covering so much of the World Cup. It was something that took over our community, but at the same time, we had the ICE shooting, and we pivoted and had coverage of that.
Yep.
We had the first interview with the Harris County DA right here on this program.
It made national news.
Yeah. We're here for you. And we need you to be here for us right now. 888-909-0887 or HoustonPublicMedia.org.
.org/donate. And I will say, you were talking earlier, Josh, about expanding our services in the wake of this. And I feel like anecdotally, that's something that I heard so frequently is, I would say I work for Houston Public Media and people go, oh, how are you guys holding up?
Yeah,
and we were like,
people care.
We launched a new bureau. That's how we're holding up. We're expanding our work and our
converted a
impact.
couple of shows to fully streamed on the on YouTube TV and on our social media platforms.
Go big or go home.
Absolutely. I mean, look, now is the time to invest in this community, which means it's time to invest in Houston Public Media.
Yeah, and get it tripled.
We talk about this, and I don't want it to sound like we are in high cotton, as the old expression used to be, and just enjoying this, and this is just bonus. To do the things we're doing is a plan to be able to be a resource that the community needs with the access to the information in the way the community needs it. It's not frivolous. It's not we want to try some new technology. The new technology is here. It's either show up or go home, and we've been able to stay on the cutting edge of that thanks to your help and support. The federal funding cut kind of slowed our want in that area to give you what you need. But we've been able to, with the help of the community, get back to the point where we can continue to deliver the service a city like this demands, needs, appreciates, and that's a lot of what Josh spends his time doing, is figuring out it's predictive almost.
Yeah, it's absolutely predictive. I mean, my entire job is about the future. And it's about positioning this organization to have the right resources. And resources means cash. It means technology. It means people. It means people in jobs that are meaningful. It means research. It means relationships. But it's predicting what are those things that we're going to need now so that in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, we can look back and go, wow, that was the point that the rockets ignited. That was the point that the octane kind of hit the fuel. And we went from an organization that was doing really well to an organization that was absolutely transformational in the trajectory of Houston. That's our goal. Every single thing that we do here, we calculate what is the impact on the community. And if it doesn't have impact, we tend not to do it.
You may have given back. You may give today and wonder, where exactly does that money go? Well, if you gave back in 2017, 2018 and wondered, where is my money going to go? Will I see the impact of that? That had allowed us, talking about foresight, is for Josh to make sure everyone had laptops. That sounds so antiquated now, but that everyone had laptops and was able to work remotely, not knowing what was coming. But because of those donations and the planning, when the pandemic hit, a lot of organizations shuttered, had trouble reporting, had trouble being there for you. Who never missed a beat? This station right here. Your donation today is going to make sure we don't miss a beat, a step in the future. And that's why you've got to be planning ahead, thinking ahead, budgeting for your family. You do the same thing. You know things are coming. You may not know what, but you've got to have the reserves in place to be able to weather it. Speaking of weather, we lead in that area too. When everyone else goes down, who's someone you can rely on?
Yeah, we've got a pretty robust plan here. It's shaped up over the last, I want to say 30 years, but really in the last 10 years, we've really committed ourselves to making sure that when weather hits the community, we're positioned. And that can be a freeze. It can be a derecho. It can be, we got a little tropical weather in the Gulf right now. We're watching that. Looks like it won't be much, but it's going to impact us. People are watching. They're worried. But the reality is that we've got a newsroom. Everybody knows what their role is. How are we going to be on the air? What do I need to do? Where am I going to report? Where am I going to travel? We've got it down to the point that if it's a wind event, folks know what they're going to do. They're going to come to the station because we got generators and we got water and everything here. And if it's a water event, you stay in your community. You cover from your community. No need to be out on the roads when we've got, as you said, laptops and full integration. That's just a sort of a microcosm weather of how we think about all the things we cover. How does it impact the community? What's the best way to use our resources? Do we have laser-focused precision on how we're going to deploy? And whether it's a hurricane, whether it's an election, whether it's something like getting Sean Tier in here and asking tough questions about what they're going to do to make sure Houston is safe. Those are all elements that come when you take all the burden, and this is really my goal, is to take all the burden away from the content producers. Yeah. Let them focus on content. You shouldn't be focused on technology. You shouldn't be focused on what's going to happen with my job or what's going to happen with the bottom line. We got that. What you need to focus on is great content. And our team does that every single day, all day long.
888-909-0887 or houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
And I have a message from On High. Our producers say that you can text that number, 888-909-0887. So it's not just for the older folks who want to pick up the phone and call, as Ernie said earlier. You can text that number,
they gave me some instructions on this. You can text HPM RF
there
for
you go.
Resiliency Fund, HPM RF to 888-909-0887. We'll see if we can get Michael's army of texters to get some. Hey, I'm going to guess the triple match works there as well.
Exactly.
Yes, and remember the triple match is in effect this hour. That's always a motivator for folks who work hard for their money and want to see it go further, but want to support the station. Make the donation at whatever level you can, and then we'll take care of it this end, getting it triple matched by a group of donors, or actually a couple who really does care about the future of this station and wants to see your donation go further. 888-909-0887, houstonpublicmedia.org/donate. I want to put a call out to our YouTubers. They're the folks that watch us every single day on YouTube, chat in the group, have a lot to say, are always actively involved. We want to hear from you too. Make a donation right now. Support the station that brings you, I hope, joy and information and a little laughter every single day. Make that donation now.
I think that's one of the things that really stuck out to me as we were pitching this morning is talking about the community that you find in public media, whether it's just showing your kids PBS Kids. We all have memories of watching that growing up and in passing that on to the next generation of kids. We're watching Wild Kratts. We're watching anything, a Don Quixote, just all these shows that you grew up watching and are now passing on. It's education, it's comfort, it's community. You know it, you trust it. That's Houston Public Media.
We would ride in the back of my dad's green Ford Torino, and he would put it on NPR. And as a kid, I just remember being like, oh, why? Why can't we just listen to the radio?
Yep.
Like, why? And then as I sort of got a couple of years under my belt of, okay, this is happening, there's nothing I can do about it, you started to repeat some of the things that you heard, and they'd pop up at school, or they'd pop up on a test, or they'd pop up later, and you realize, like, oh, wait, I was actually sort of informed about that. Like, I kind of knew what was going on. And then as you get off to college and you're a young adult, you're like, wow, this is part of my life. Like, this has meaning for me. It has impact for me. Like, I value what it is. And you can sort of like literally feel yourself turning into an adult as you listen to NPR and get smarter. You're able to really put a value on it. And if you think that things like that have a value, go ahead and call us and make a donation and say, look, it's $5 a month, it's $10 a month, it's for some of you it's $100 a month. Join the Affinity group, and it's all tripled. Now's the best time to do it.
888-909-0887, houstonpublicmedia.org/donate. When you talk about being informed, there has never been a more important time, at least in my lifetime, where you need to be able to separate fact from fiction. You need to know what's artificially generated and what is legitimately real. And that permeates all aspects of our lives these days. Our commitment here at this station is to make sure you are constantly informed with the truth of the situation. We're not telling you how to think. We're just giving you the facts so you can think, and there's a big difference there.
Absolutely. I mean, my vision as someone who runs an organization that has a huge part to play in journalism is that we're there to bear witness to what's going on around the community, and that means, like it or not, whether our reporters like it or not, whether I like it or not, we put a microphone in someone and we let them speak, and we let you make a decision about what you think about it. It's not our job, it's not our role, and to be fair, it's not ethical to cut that microphone off when we don't like what's being said. And so there are many times on this station you're going to hear things that you either don't agree with, or you do agree with. You're going to hear perspectives that challenge your own perspectives. And my comment about that is you're welcome. That's our commitment. It's our commitment to make sure that if you don't like something, you know who's saying it, you know why they're saying it, and you've got the knowledge to make an informed decision. We don't take that lightly, and that's for us is the sort of the gold standard of why we're here.
Well, the gold standard right now is you making a donation. So do that, 888-909-0887 or at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate. Right now, as has been said, all gifts will be tripled. So if you've been waiting for a triple match, here is your moment. You haven't had to wait long. We just started this morning, and we're already there for you. So show us strength at the beginning of this drive. Get it out of the way. Don't worry about it later. And let me tell you, this is the best deal that we offer. This triple match is a wonderful way to show your support and to triple it in helping our station. We're going to have to take a quick break right now. Josh Adams, thank you so much for joining us always.
Yeah, thank you both. And thanks to all of you listening and those who are going to pick up the phone and call.
Do it right now. Michael and I will be back right after this.
Meet Tio Choco. We just took his keys for the day and gave him a Ride Metro fare card. This is his story. Visit ridemetro.org/Choco to find out where is Choco.
So easy to do. Your donation now could mean hundreds or thousands of dollars in support, and it makes you a member of Houston Public Media. Visit houstonpublicmedia.org/cars to learn more. And thanks.
On the podcast After the Flood from the Texas Newsroom and PBS's Frontline, we meet people who survived last year's floods in the Hill Country and those who lost loved ones, and we try to answer the questions they still have. After the Flood, out now.
Reliable information should not come with a price tag. That's why Houston Public Media keeps trusted news, emergency updates, and local conversations open to everyone.
But after federal funding was rescinded, sustaining this public service takes more community support.
Your gift to the Resiliency Fund helps replace what was lost and keeps Houston Public Media ready for what comes next.
Give now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from the Audie International School, where students from PK3 to 12th grade grow in curiosity and courage, preparing them to make their mark on the world. The future's so bright at Audie. More at audie.org.
Houston Public Media is a service of the University of Houston and is supported with your gifts to the Houston Public Media Foundation. More information available online at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now Ernie Manous and guest host Michael Adkison.
Earlier this year, the Department of Homeland Security and U.S. Customs and Border Protection announced plans to build a series of 30-foot-tall steel barriers across the Big Bend region of West Texas. This announcement received much backlash, particularly among residents, due to how rare illegal crossings are in that region, while experts have also pointed out the damage this would inflict on the region's wildlife. Additionally, the fight against this proposed border wall appears to have even reached across party lines, with individuals on both sides of the political aisle voicing their resistance to the implementation of these plans. Joining us now to give the latest on this proposed border wall is Dallas-based freelance writer Diana Spechler, who's been covering this story. Diana, welcome to Hello Houston.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and you can also read more of her writing on her Substack, Dispatches from the Road, at substack.com/@Diana Spechler. Tell us a little bit about, most people know Big Bend, most people know this region and what it's like, but tell us what prompted this political battle that we're in. Kind of just give us the summary of what led us to this moment.
Yeah, so the money for the wall was baked into the Big Beautiful Bill, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act that happened last summer. Yeah. And following that, Kristi Noem waived a couple dozen laws so that this process could be fast-tracked. And then things just started happening really fast out there. people started seeing the equipment, and suddenly all these landowners were being asked, landowners along the river were being asked, can we use your land for man camps? And things just started happening really fast, and people realized, wow, this is really happening. And there's really not any data to support a wall in this region as effective border security. But what it would do is cause irreparable damage to the area. So that's kind of how this whole thing started. One of the amazing things about the Big Bend region is that it's it's the largest international dark sky reserve in the world. It's absolutely incredible. People go out there to look at the stars. And one of the things this would do is threaten that status.
Two things that come to mind hearing you talk about this. The first one, of course, is the idea of performative, that it's like there's really no need for it, but we have to do it to show we're doing something. Instead of looking at the border and saying, where are the crisis points? Focus on those. Am I wrong to look at it that way?
I see it that way, for sure. I agree with you. And, if the idea is to secure the border, well, this part of the border has the lowest crossings in that sector. So that's A. B, a wall wouldn't help. There's already, as they're calling it, like a God-made wall, because the cliffs along the river are high enough that it's almost impossible to get over there as it is. So there are very few crossings in that region. It really is, I agree with you, performative and something of a vanity project.
The one thing I do like about this project, though, is the single fact that in today's day and age, something that brings everyone together is a rarity. And this seems to have brought both sides of the aisle together, both saying, stop.
Absolutely. And I think that's what's probably the most heartening thing about this story is that there's like pretty much zero support for this. So it has forced people to reach across the aisle. That has been really beautiful. Unfortunately, at the highest levels, though, I'm not seeing as much effort being made. In the government, there's not as much effort being made to stop this. But yes, on a grassroots level, it's absolutely bipartisan. So,
with the passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill and this being budgeted in there, at the higher levels of the government, is there opportunity? Are there tools in place that could be used to stall or stop this? Or because they approved the funding for it from congressional point of view, it's a done deal?
The people out there who are working in the resistance do not consider it a done deal. They are really fighting, and they're finding legal back channels. They're finding that public pressure works. There are all kinds of lawsuits right now. I couldn't really give you all the details on them, but essentially the idea is that there was government overreach with Noam waiving all those laws. So yes, there are things that can be done to at least slow this, if not stop it. But the number 46 billion is pretty daunting.
Diana, whether you're intentional or not, you refer to them as the resistance. And in my mind, I pictured this sort of Star Wars ragtag group of rebels. I'm curious what the activism and the pushback against this has looked like tangibly.
Yeah, it's incredible. There's a group out there called No Big Bend Wall. They're one of the, I would say, two at the forefront that has just been doing everything they possibly can. These are just people who live there, who have given up their careers, put their entire lives on pause just to deal with this. So some of it is legal. They're looking for all the ways they can contest this legally. And then there's also, people who are helping the landowners, who are communicating with them so that they don't capitulate. And there have already been people who have capitulated, but that's a big part of the push. A lot of it is just spreading awareness. There are people who are, there's somebody who has a petition going that has something like 150,000 signatures already, and they've brought the petition to Washington. There's just constant effort. And this even includes like confronting the builders, confronting the contractors as they're, trying to do their work, and confronting landowners who have capitulated already. So, yeah, I mean, it's multi-pronged, and it is a 24-hour-a-day effort.
We are speaking with Dallas-based freelance writer Diana Spechler about plans to build a series of border walls across the Big Bend region of West Texas. If you'd like to join the conversation, give us a call or text at 713-440-8870 and let us know your thoughts. Diana, talking right there, what's next? What can be done still about this, or how much of a done deal is this proposed border wall?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a done deal yet. And maybe that means just slowing it down until there's another election. But for now, I don't think it's a done deal, but people should go sign the petition. If they go to the No Big Bend Wall website, they can sign the petition against it. Spreading the word, public pressure really helps, posting about it on social media. It's very hard to know exactly what's going on right now, but because of the resistance, the Star Wars resistance, they have, changed what they're what they're proposing. At first they were saying it's going to be all physical wall, and now they're saying it's going to be some physical wall and some, drones and patrol roads and stuff like that. So it has decreased. So yes, absolutely, just speaking out about it and getting the word out is the best thing you can do as citizens right now.
Let me ask a question, two different questions, backward-looking and forward-looking. The backward-looking one is, when you talk about Kristi Noem waiving some of the laws, I'm curious, in the One Big Beautiful Bill or the original concept of this, had it all been thought out, at least, of how this would function and what they would do, or was it a case that they said they were going to put this there and then they had to change and alter laws because no one had really thought it through?
Yeah, I think the latter, but I'm not really sure what was in their minds. I can't really speak to that.
Okay, let's look forward then. Something else you probably can't predict, because I'm putting you in a speculative place here. Once it is said and done, if it is said and done and gets built, what does that region look like after they implement?
Well, one of the things that's truly horrible is that the river is cut off. So it sort of changes the international border, for one thing, but the river will sort of go into this no man's land. I mean, they can't build the wall on the Mexico side, right? They have to build it on the America side. So the river's gone. That means, like, tourism. I mean, the mainstay of the tourism industry is the river and the stars. And with all the lighting that a wall entails, the dark sky status is compromised. The rivers, the fishing, the rafting, all that stuff is compromised. So the tourism industry is going to suffer, which means the people there are going to suffer. And everybody who enjoys visiting the Big Bend is going to suffer too.
Yeah, it's not a region that's particularly known for anything besides its tourism. That's the appeal of Big Bend. There aren't booming businesses really that are there. It would do a lot of damage to that tourism business. You also mentioned,
and also to animals.
Right,
that's what I was about to ask. Yes,
part.
yeah. Tell us about that.
So yeah, I mean, animals who drink from the river, who rely on just being able to move back and forth easily, will die. And I mean, that's criminal, isn't it? I mean, and then archaeological sites will be destroyed, and it's hard to even emphasize enough how much a part of the culture out there the nature is.
Mm-hmm.
This is another question that you may not be able to answer because it is a little bit of speculation, but there's such a pushback. It's bipartisan. We also indicated earlier, you could perceive it as being performative, that it wouldn't have as much of a tangible impact on border security. Why do you think then the administration is not like, yeah, you guys are right, like that? You make a good argument. What's holding them back from saying that?
Well, they've already started awarding the contracts, and they've done a lot of, by the way, no bid contracts. And so a lot of that money has already been allocated. So I don't know, perhaps they see it as the train has left the station. Perhaps they see it as, no matter what, the most important thing is the optics, which is, Trump's been saying since campaigning for his first term that he wanted to build the wall. And Arguably, that's how he won his first term. And, I think people gave him some grief when he didn't get it done in the first term. And I mean, I can't necessarily speculate on his psychology, but those things seem important to him.
It's very troublesome. It's very concerning. And I say it in that regard, not from a political point of view, but in altering something that we, as you have said, come to depend on for being someplace where people can enjoy nature. And as we look at the world around us, so much of this disappears every day. And we have this one sanctioned, preserved part of our state that has built its reputation on being that. And then you fold in the animals and all of the ecological damage that could be done by this. Is there a way that you've heard from the non-resistance of a way to put border security in this region that doesn't upset these things? Or is every plan that's out there is going to cause some kind of negative impact?
Yes, but there are things that are less impactful than others.
Mhm.
So I think that that's some of what they're pushing for right now. Obviously, people really think there shouldn't be anything out there, but there was one of the things that was really interesting was there was a letter that a joint statement that these 5 county sheriffs in the region wrote last March, and they were addressing federal and state policymakers. And they were arguing for surveillance technology instead of physical wall. They were saying, like, we want to be safe. We want the border secured, but just do it in a way that makes sense, right? So they were saying lighting systems, access roads, maintenance roads, wall, none of that stuff is effective. But what it would do is permanently alter one of the most remote and ecologically significant border landscapes in the United States. That's what they said. And, they're saying, like, what about surveillance technology? I don't know much about this, but Predator B drones is one of the things that was floated that wouldn't create a physical impact on the land.
Yeah. Diana, thank you very much for this. Very insightful.
Yeah, it was great being here.
Diana Spechler is a Dallas-based freelance writer. You can find her reporting on her Substack, Dispatches from the Road, at substack.com/@Diana Spechler. Diana, thank you for coming on to Hello Houston.
Thank you.
Coming up, we're going to talk with Texas State Senator Carol Alvarado. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues. Welcome to Hello Houston. I'm Ernie Manous with Michael Adkison, and we're your on-air Resiliency Fund campaign hosts for this break because this service does not just magically stay on air.
No, all that reporting that you've heard just now through this hour, the weather updates that you need, the interviews you learn from, and all the local stories that keep you connected all take real support from you listening right now, and this community.
Houston Public Media lost $2.2 million in yearly federal support. So this campaign helps us make up for 2 years of that loss.
And today's our first day, but we still need $545,000 to get us to that goal. We know that's a big number and it's still a long way to go, but every single gift we receive gets us closer, no matter the cost, no matter the amount that you donate. And if you donate now, you get it tripled. So don't hesitate. Make that gift right now.
That's exactly right. Every single gift matters at this moment. If you value having this service here for you, please give at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or give us a call, 888-909-0887.
And again, not that you need another reason to give right now, but if you do want another reason, your donation will be tripled. This is the extra boost that we need. Elena and Kenneth Marks are tripling your donation right now. Thank you so much to their generous donation. Now, any amount that you donate is going to be tripled because of them, but you have to take advantage of this now, so don't wait. This will not last. Give a gift in any amount, and it will be tripled, and it will do 3 times as much to support the news for Greater Houston. Get your gift tripled. HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate, or call or text 888-909-0887.
For many Houstonians, public media feels like home. Edith, a Houston Public Media listener, is a native Houstonian. She says Houston Public Media has always been part of her life. She calls it a source of learning and entertainment. That means news, documentaries, history, nature, travel, music, and even masterpiece. Help keep the Houston tradition strong. And you can keep it strong right now by giving at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or calling 888-909-0887.
75 years. That is how long Houston Public Media has been reporting the news in the city. It kept broadcasting through hurricanes when people needed safety information. We've covered every election, so please consider donating now. HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
Meet Gamola, songwriter, world-class violinist, and award-winning multi-genre artist. We just took his keys for the day and gave him a Ride Metro fare card. Visit ridemetro.org/Gamola to learn more about his ride.
Wherever and whenever they tune in. Jacob and Therese Hershey Foundation, Cynthia Holliday, Beverly and Joseph Kimmel, Marjorie and Robert Loeb. Thank you.
Harriet Clark was 11 months old when her mother was a getaway driver in the infamous 1981 robbery of a Brinks truck. The robbers were members of radical offshoots of the Weather Underground and the Black Panthers. For the next 37 years, Harriet spent Saturdays visiting her mother in prison. Her new novel is based on that. She's on the next Fresh Air. Join us.
You can listen to Fresh Air coming up tonight at 8 p.m.
HPM Plus brings you the latest news and information from around the world and across the street. Trusted journalists delivering facts, fairness, and perspective. Keeping you connected by keeping you informed. PBS NewsHour, Frontline, and documentaries that provide a voice to the voiceless. Stream live, engage on demand, and enjoy past seasons through PBS Passport. Search HPM Plus on your smart and connected TVs and stay informed.
Houston Public Media is licensed to the University of Houston system, governed by the UH Board of Regents. Information about open meetings, dates, times, and locations is online at uhsystem.edu.
Houston's next big story won't wait. Your gift to Houston Public Media's Resiliency Fund helps replace rescinded federal funding and keeps us ready. Give now at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now Ernie Manous and guest host Michael Adkison.
Comments from the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen about increasing immigration enforcement are drawing criticism from local civil rights leaders and elected officials as demonstrations continue following the death of Lorenzo Salgado Araujo. During a news conference, Mullen said immigration agents would, quote, turn up the heat in the streets, while also saying he wanted to, quote, turn down the temperature with the media. The comments come as protests, marches, and vigils continue following Salgado Araujo's death. Mullen said immigration enforcement efforts would intensify. Joining us now to discuss this and the latest into investigations in the death of Lorenzo Salgado Araujo is State Senator Carol Alvarado, representing Texas Senate District 6. Senator Alvarado, welcome to Hello Houston.
Hi, thank you for having me. First, I want to make sure people know that we are still grieving for this family. Mm-hmm. It's been a tremendous loss for the family, for the community. And, you know, a lot of times after the services and people start to move on, but I want to assure everybody out there that we are not taking our foot off the pedal. We are going to stay on this to make sure that there is a true independent investigation and that people are held accountable. There's transparency and there are answers.
That is definitely true of how we feel here at Hello Houston, that we want to stay on the story. All too often, folks move on after a story, as you were saying, and this does impact our community. This was a loss of someone from our community in a way that we should know more about, and we should understand what happened here. And even with all of that said, it does not fix the loss of Lorenzo by any means. When you talk about an honest investigation, one area, and help me understand this, because things are so politicized in today's culture. When I hear that there is a push for the Texas Rangers to investigate, I'm not sure from where I sit, and this is probably from a lack of knowledge, but that I feel like that too would be a fair and honest investigation. Am I wrong in that kind of speculative thought?
Well, and as y'all know, immediately myself and my Harris County colleagues, we sent a letter requesting that the Texas Rangers do an independent investigation because there is precedence. They last year just investigated 2 shootings by ICE agents, one in South Padre and one in Starr County. And one was of a U.S. citizen, a young man. So they are equipped to do this. I understand some people may have issues with the Texas Rangers. I mean, trust me, I'm not, fine with everything that happened with Uvalde. But our options are limited on who can do independent investigations. And I have a direct line. I've been talking to Colonel Martin almost on a daily basis, several times a day since this all happened. I know that if I see something that is wrong, I can pick up the phone and call him. I cannot pick up the phone and call FBI. I don't think they would take my call. I don't know if they take Congresswoman Garcia's call, but at least we have an in here and we have some direct accountability in the state legislature on DPS Texas Rangers. So I'm functioning on very limited options. And if you look at how this investigation has started, we desperately need a second set of eyes. Everything from them trying to taint this man's reputation, the release of the search warrant, kind of odd, right? That's supposed to be sealed, and the information about a substance found. So I have not trusted this investigation from the get-go, and that's why we need a second pair of eyes on it.
To talk about the one of the pieces of quote unquote evidence that we have seen, I say quote unquote because I'm not sure where it stands in the proceedings, but it was the speculative drugs that were found in the van. And from watching television, watching shows like Cops, we believe, don't they have field kits that tested immediately? It's not hard to know what it is. Putting a story out there without information behind it, is it that? Walk me through your understanding of how this gets released like that and what we actually know it is today.
Yeah, and that goes back to my problem with this entire investigation. If it was, okay, let's just say it was, you think they would have said something immediately and not waited 8 days. And so that's one thing. And then they said that he tried to run over them. And then we learned that according to the way the U.S. attorney described what happened, it doesn't seem like that. And then plus two, what the others that are detained have said, that wasn't true. So, just a lot of flaws in the very beginning of this investigation. I think the Rangers have more, things to advance this investigation. If they had been there on the ground immediately, I think, we may have seen some different things that have come out so far. So again, that's why I have pushed for them to conduct an independent investigation, because the FBI, they have just tried to taint this poor man's reputation. A hardworking man with no criminal record, here for 35 years, raised 3 sons that are college educated. The house that he lived in was a house that he built with his bare hands.
I just also want to point out, too, when we talk about the substance in the car, when we talk about all these different things, none of this still gives the freedom to shoot someone in the street and kill them. That these are not death sentences.
Exactly. So now what, ICE agents are the judge and the jury? You don't kill people, even if there were drugs that were in that van.
Right.
Senator Alvarado, I'm curious your thoughts on this. So Salgado Araujo was killed on July 7th. On July 9th, Aaron Reitz became the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Texas. He, of course, was running for Attorney General of Texas, was endorsed by Attorney General Ken Paxton. Most notably, I think, made headlines when he had called for the House Democratic Caucus leader Gene Wu's citizenship to be revoked for the criticisms that he had made. With that in mind, what sort of faith does that put in you for the direction that the federal investigation is going in, and based off of his comments so far?
It's concerning. I took issue with several comments that he made in that video. But yes, we know his track record. We know the kind of campaign he ran. We know what he said about Representative Wu. So that is concerning. Again, that's why we need another set of eyes on this. And, if there is some gray area of when the Texas Rangers should be involved, because my understanding in talking to them that they immediately asked if the FBI wanted their help in this investigation, and it was declined. And then, as you see, not too long ago, they were asked to come in. But maybe we need legislation that gives a clear direction of when Texas Rangers need to step in, or local law enforcement for that as well.
A question that we had from the very beginning of this whole situation was the footage that was released, things we saw, all seemed to end right before the moment of impact. And it fascinates me because they weren't manned cameras. It wasn't somebody was filming and turned them off. So many of them were remote cameras that were just automatically security cameras running. Do we do you know, has that other footage been seized, been captured so that it's been preserved? Or why did it stop at those moments right before the incident happens?
I don't know. And that's something I'm looking forward to hearing more about as this investigation happens. But again, it begs the question, why aren't these agents wearing body cameras? And I know that's something that, for whatever reason, it's become a partisan issue. It's been a partisan issue in the debate in Congress. And I know, representatives like Garcia and others, they have stood fast on, we're not going to fund until you make every agent wear body cameras. Our police officers wear them. And I think in many cases, it's proven to be very helpful. And so they should be held to that same standard. But of course, ICE agents aren't going through the same kind of training for the length of period that HPD officers or other police officers are going through. And they're not subject to the body cameras. So right there, we're already starting in a deficit when it comes to ICE agents.
Let me ask you this. For folks that live within your district, that are in our community, that see this happen, have heard other stories from other places, what is your recommendation for how they go about living their life in our area?
I think everybody has to be extra cautious. He was picking up workers to go to work early in the morning. And when you have a car, an unmarked vehicle that is chasing you down, that's scary. I don't know anybody who would just immediately pull over and just, wait to see what happened. You're going to try to get out of there. And I would say, try to get into a public place, a police station, a fire station, if possible. But I think people also need to understand their rights. I know there's organizations like Fiel and others, Congresswoman Garcia, they've put on workshops. I would contact groups like that to learn about what you are to do if you're stopped. But everybody needs to be armed with that kind of information. And it seems like they're going after, hardworking people, going to job sites, after people who are on their way to work. I saw that happen in my neighborhood. They looked like they were looking for people who were cleaning, doing yard work or something. It happened right in front of my sister's house, and she confronted them. So this is not what this was supposed to be when Trump announced that they were going to be doing this. This has been insensitive, inhumane, and just downright ridiculous.
Well, State Senator Carol Alvarado, thank you so much for joining us today and talking with us. I know you'll stay on this. I hope you'll come back and share what you learn as we go through this to keep the audience, the community, better informed of what's happening in this investigation.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Coming up, more of today's top headlines. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues.
Stay tuned. There's more Hello Houston on the way. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at houstonpublicmedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media. This is News 88.7.
Support comes from UTHealth Houston, Houston's health university, where education, research, and patient care come together to help advance health and improve lives in Houston and beyond. More at houstonshealthuniversity.com.
Another hot, humid day today. We'll get up to around 98, 99, somewhere in that range. And then tonight, a low near 78, clear skies. It's 87. And watch Houston Matters on HPM Plus, free to download for smart TVs. Your NPR station, KUHF, Houston. News 88.7, a service of the University of Houston.
Just ahead on this hour of Hello Houston, hundreds of protesters gathered Sunday afternoon in Montrose to demand transparency and accountability for the killing of Lorenzo Salgado Arrojo, who was shot and killed by ICE on July 7th. We'll discuss this and more as we continue diving into today's top headlines. I'm Ernie Manous.
And I'm guest host, Houston Public Media reporter Michael Adkison. Why are more Houstonians getting sick from a parasite hiding on everyday produce? And what does epidemiologist Dr. Catherine Troisi want us to know before our next salad?
Plus, what if the clothes your kids have already outgrown could help another family and save you money at the same time? We'll explain how.
And also, we want to hear from you. Give us a call or text at 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org.
Hello Houston is made possible in part by founding sponsors John Bradshaw and Kathy Sanders, by Metro, and by gifts from listeners like you.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. The Department of Defense says another service member has been killed in the war with Iran, and it has identified 2 other casualties of an Iranian attack in Jordan Friday. We have more from NPR's Jana Raff.
Central Command says a service member was killed in a controlled detonation of an Iranian drone in the Kurdistan region of Iraq. And the Pentagon announced the names of 2 military personnel killed in an Iranian missile strike Friday on an airbase in Jordan. It said they were First Lieutenant Tyler James Feehan, 25, of Eva Beach, Hawaii. Private Isabella Gonzalez of Carrollton, Texas, died a day later. She was 19. Both were with Air Defense Artillery regiments. The U.S. military says 17 service people have now been killed in the war with Iran. Iran says about 3,000 Iranians have been killed, many of them civilians. Jane Araf, NPR News, Amman.
As the U.S. war with Iran escalates, the impact on energy is noticeable, with gas prices going back up. AAA says on average, people are once again paying more than $4 for a gallon of regular gasoline. The source of the rapidly expanding Cyclospora outbreaks in multiple states remain murky after regulators reviewed and retracted a previous test tracing the parasite to lettuce grown by one company. We have the latest from NPR's Yuki Noguchi.
The Food and Drug Administration and other investigators have been trying to trace the possible source of Cyclospora. The diarrhea-causing disease is linked to 94 hospitalizations and 1,600 confirmed cases, plus thousands of suspected ones across 34 states. Late last week, Taylor Farms recalled iceberg lettuce grown and processed in Mexico, including from Taco Bell and Walmart stores. The FDA still tells consumers to avoid the product, though the agency has retracted its initial test results, calling the finding a false positive. The pathogen can be challenging to trace with its weeks-long incubation period. Yuki Noguchi, NPR News.
The Spanish men's soccer team have returned home heroes after they dethroned Argentina 1-0 to win the FIFA World Cup title. Today, the players were greeted by massive crowds gathered in Madrid, including around the Prime Minister's official residence. Spain's victory was the second for the country since 2010. Second Lady Usha Vance and Vice President J.D. Vance welcomed a baby boy yesterday, first child to be born to a sitting vice president in more than 150 years. U.S. stocks are mixed this hour. The Dow's down more than 100 points. It's NPR News.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Shelby Rose. We're following a story out of Fulshear this morning. A plane landed on top of a house along Kitty Hawk Street. Multiple outlets are reporting the pilot had been taken to the hospital, and it's unclear if anyone inside the house was injured. DPS says the pilot was attempting to land at a nearby airstrip, and an investigation is ongoing. Also, tropical weather is headed to Texas. Cameron Young with the National Weather Service in Houston says they are monitoring a tropical depression south of the Florida Panhandle that is turning west as it skims along the coast.
We do expect it to strengthen into a tropical storm probably over the next day or so. It's still trying to get organized out over the eastern Gulf.
He says the projections are for the storm to start making an impact on Texas late Thursday into early Friday, and the strength of the storm will depend on how much it stays over water as it moves along the Gulf. In a sad story this afternoon, a 5-year-old boy at the center of an Amber Alert in the Katy area was found dead overnight. The Fort Bend County Sheriff's Office says the boy's body was located just before 2 o'clock in the morning in the lake by Texas Equisearch and Rescue. KHOU was the first to report that there are no signs of foul play, and the investigation remains ongoing. Plus, nearly 1,000 people filled Irvin Shoe Park in Montrose Sunday to protest the use of deadly force by ICE. News 88.7's Tom Perumian reports.
The voices were loud as people spoke out about ICE. Sarah Dugain expressed her words with fervor.
I get mad at the system that doesn't abide right by people, and I get so frustrated and I get so disgusted at the idea that people are okay with this.
Dugain's tone mirrored many of those interviewed. Organizers say the objective is more than get ICE out of Houston, but out of Texas as well. I'm Tom Perumian, News 88.7.
And ICE agents are holding a rising senior at Bel Air High School in Houston ISD. Alim Garipov immigrated to the U.S. from Russia 4 years ago. Teachers and students at Bel Air are calling for his release, and Representative Lizzie Fletcher said her office is working with the family and federal agencies involved. I'm Shelby Rose, News 88.7.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Progressive Insurance, where drivers can bundle and customize their home and auto insurance in one place with the goal of protecting what matters most. Coverage options at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Live from Houston Public Media and News 88.7, it's Hello Houston, an open forum on today's biggest stories affecting Houston and beyond. Call now, 713-440-8870, or let us know your thoughts on today's topics by emailing us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now, Hello Houston with Ernie Manous.
And not just Ernie Manous, you get two exciting hosts for one. You also get HPM's Michael Adkison. Hello there, Michael.
Hi, here for another hour.
We didn't scare you off.
They didn't. Well, I was going to go with you didn't fire me in between the 2 hours.
And Josh was here. If anyone was going to, it would have been him.
I was shaking.
Josh was here earlier in the first hour to let you know, and we want to remind you, we are in our resiliency fund right now, and so we are looking for your help and support to continue to bring you the quality programming in addition to Hello Houston you get right here. 888-909-0887, or you can give it houstonpublicmedia.org/donate. The resiliency fund is to help us make up for the $2.2 million that a year that we have lost from the federal budget cuts. And so we're asking your help and support to make that up. But we still have our work to do, so we still have our show here.
All right. You want to get right into it then?
Well, there's two different ways I want to go. I could either go to the light story first that we're dying to talk about, or we could actually hit a headline news.
The light story that Ernie is dying to talk about.
Oh, you were too. You lit up when I suggested it a minute ago. I will tell you coming up on the show something that won't get you excited and light you up, but it's information we have to know. We've all heard that there are troubles in our tummies all across not just the Houston area, but the entire country right now. It is an outbreak of something called Cyclosporiasis. It's in Houston, and Dr. Catherine Troisi will be here to help us understand what it is, what we need to know about it, how it's impacting us, no pun intended there, and what we have to look forward to as that gets healed and solved and figured out as we move forward. But that's coming up on the show. I do want to hit our more serious story, and then a little brevity to follow. But take us into the news of the day.
Of course, yesterday, hundreds of protesters gathered in Irvin Chu Park on Sunday in the Montrose neighborhood to demand transparency and accountability for the killing of Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, who was shot and killed by ICE agents on July 7th. We have been following that story very closely. Battling the brutal heat and humidity, protesters called off the planned march just 30 minutes before it was scheduled to begin. The protest, which was organized by Immigration Youth Texas, the Houston chapter of the Party for Socialism and Liberation, and dozens of other organizations, started just after noon, and hundreds stayed in the park, the march's starting point, listening to speeches from organizers about how to support their movement and demand changes from ICE. The crowd briefly took over the bridge on Dunleavy Street and then closed down which was closed down, and two of Lorenzo Salgado Araujo's sons stood on picnic tables and repeated their calls for accountability and transparency. Did you attend the protest? Did you have any thoughts on the concept of the protest happening? Were you there? Did you see it? Did you pass it by? Let us know your thoughts. 713-440-8870. Give us a call or text. Let us know. Ernie, this was a protest that was put together with the assistance, obviously, of Salgado Araujo's sons, but friends and close associates of the family were the ones who really hit the ground running with this demonstration. And I think this was kind of viewed somewhat as sort of the protest. This is the one to see what's the direction that Houston is going to go in. And from what it sounds like, it was a relatively peaceful protest. It was not one that shut down a lot of traffic deliberately without the coordination of police. It was not Minneapolis is sort of what I'm getting at.
Well, and a few years back, we did a documentary called A Murder in Montrose, looking back at the now over 30-year-ago murder of Paul Broussard. And in our documentary, the focus was talking about the protests that followed and how a community came together. It wasn't just one group, it was the entirety of the community. But in that, we often talked about in Houston, we don't see a lot of big protests that get out of hand. And the two reasons are, and one, it's kind of almost comical in the sense, but it's so hot out that we are concerned and we will show up, but it's hot. And that actually benefits us in a lot of ways because we don't have these kind of gatherings that get out of hand. And it's important to show concern and all of that. So this was another one where the heat took its toll on folks. And in some way, it's good. It got attention. It showed that people cared and were concerned. But it kept things, I think, on an even keel.
One notable exception to that is a story that we highlighted in some reporting I did a couple of weeks ago, which was the Moody Park riots that followed the killing of Jose Campos Torres. Joe Campos Torres, as a lot of people know him, who was a man who was killed by Houston police officers in 1977. Right. 1978, there were some Cinco de Mayo protests, Cinco de Mayo parades that then sort of became a protest about the one-year anniversary of his killing, and that obviously devolved into a riot, essentially. So, what stuck out to me is to your point, yes, Houston in recent history does not have a history of protests getting out of hand. There was one that involved the police killing of a Latino man, and the question I think was would history repeat itself? And thus far, it seems like it hasn't in terms of the protest and the riots that ensued.
And in no way are we saying, though, there shouldn't be outrage and there shouldn't be concern and there shouldn't be interest from the community about wanting to know what actually happened. And as we said in the last hour, we will stay on this story and continue to bring you the information. The one thing that's bothersome in today's digital age is how quickly things fall from the headline, how quickly the next story comes and the next story comes and things are forgotten or they move too quick. I know just from following the Trump administration how quickly I forget about things that happen because something new is always right there in front of me. This is a story that's important to our community. It's important to our safety. It's important to understanding humanity and how we treat people. It's important to look at this because of federal overreach and of a sense almost secret police forces, and it touches into immigration and what we should be doing and what our policies should be. There's a lot there, and we need to stay on this story and continue to talk about it. And we invite you to talk about it too and to share your thoughts and concerns. 713-440-8870. Let's go to the phones. Jimmy from the West Side is on the line. Jimmy, what are your thoughts?
I think ICE ought to be shut down. They're like a bunch of thugs out there running around with their guns. They killed at least 5 people. They're totally unnecessary. They should not be shooting into cars. They don't know who's in those cars. They could be wounding or killing other people in those vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
They need to be shut down and have some real legitimate law people taking over any kind of immigration work. It's just sad that Trump has these people out there.
Yeah. Jimmy, I think your comments express what a lot of people are feeling right now about this and a lot of the concern in the community. Thank you for sharing with us. If you have a thought, comment, give us a call, 713-440-8870. We want to entertain all aspects of this, all perspectives, and we also want to do it with respect and courtesy as we go through a very difficult time.
Absolutely. And something that Josh mentioned in the last hour, if you were listening, was that we, to the point of welcoming all viewpoints, we welcome all viewpoints here at Houston Public Media. Mm-hmm. Whether you want to hear them or not, that's important to hear from people in our community. I think that's what Hello Houston's all about. So 713-440-8870. Give us a call. Let us know your thoughts.
And a part that came out, especially I brought it up with Carol Alvarado, too, when she was with us last hour, is the fact that, you know, there can be lots of different issues in any particular moment, but does the ends justify the means?
Right.
Does it matter? Now, we have no reason to believe that what was in the van was drugs. But even if it was drugs, does that suddenly make it a death sentence? Does that suddenly allow agents of whatever organization to decide, no, this person's life needs to end? No. So, but now we're not saying that they are drugs. I keep saying, you know, even if it was, but nobody has any proof it was.
Right.
So keep that in mind. I'm worried that the story will become, I mentioned this on the air last week, 5 years from now, they'll mention this case and someone will say, oh, wasn't that the guy who had drugs in his truck?
Yeah.
Because we hook on to one little moment and continue to put it forward. But we've got to wait for understanding and facts and knowledge.
I know it's sometimes hard to, or let me restate that. Sometimes it's easy to lose sight of why we're talking about this. And I think that you kind of alluded to it when we were speaking with Senator Alvarado earlier, which is that when a law enforcement officer commits an act of violence that then results in the death of a suspect, that law enforcement officer has deprived that person of due process. They have decided that they do not have their constitutional right to a trial to determine their guilt or innocence, and that they will also be sentenced to death in that moment. And I say that not to harp on anyone. I say that to recognize and take a step back of why this is important that we cover it. You know, what's going to happen in the coming days is there are all these investigations to determine whether or not this ICE officer was justified in doing that, justified in acting as judge, jury, executioner. I know that that's almost like a hackneyed phrase at this point, but that is essentially what's going to happen in the coming days, is whether or not it was justifiable for Lorenzo Salgado Araujo to be deprived essentially of that trial to determine his innocence.
Yeah. We ask your thoughts, your feelings on this, 713-440-8870. Which reminds me of the point is what we give you here each day is a platform to share your thoughts and opinions, hopefully to learn something new or hear a different perspective, an opportunity to get involved in the news in a different way, kind of an interactive way that you can feel part of understanding the story and sharing with your community how you feel about the story. That's unique to this type of media, but this type of media is so important, and you can help support that kind of media, this kind of program, all of the headlines and news and in-depth reports you get right here at News 88.7 on Houston Public Media. Simply go to the phones, dial 888-404-0887. Make that gift of support right now. As we mentioned in the first hour, this hour too, we are tripling any donations that come in. So whatever amount you want to give generously, and we will make sure that is tripled. You can also do it online. Go to houstonpublicmedia.org/donate. The other number we give is our call-in number, which is 713-440-8870. And Cindy is on the line there from Central Houston. Cindy, what's on your mind?
Yes. So I did attend the protest on Sunday, and I was pleased with the numbers, but not pleased. I think we need to, I'm outraged. I hope everyone listening to the show and even not listening to this show is outraged in the city of Houston. I think we need to continue to speak out and not lash out, not physical violence or anything like that. But I think we need to continue to speak about this and not let it go away. This, I don't want to cover what we've already covered about the unmarked cars and the, ununiformed people and, the fear that the gentleman who died had. And we need more numbers, and we need to stay on this issue until we get ICE out of here, till we get this, this renegade rounding up of people out of our city. And I hope that, I'm a longtime donor to the station, and I hope that they continue to stay on the story. I hope that even it could be announced, some of the future protests. I was at city council as well. I just think it's so important. And I know you mentioned, Ernie, earlier that it's hot out, but I don't, I still think we need more numbers. I still think it needs to be peaceful, of course, but we need to get more of us out there. We need to take the time to show the administration that this is important to us.
A couple things come to mind when you speak, Cindy, and the first one I just want to hit on quickly when we talk about the heat again. What was it for you personally that said, you know what, I don't care how hot it is out there. I'm going out there and I want to be one of the numbers?
Yeah, so, I think about it as, as long as you stay hydrated, there's always a little shade spot you can find for a few minutes. You can wear a hat, you can wear sunscreen. If you take the right preparations, I felt it's important, and I needed to be out there regardless. I'm a 67-year-old woman, I'm not a spring chicken. So, and if I can do it, I think anybody can do it. So it's just so much more important. You go home, you sweat, you get hot. You go home, you take a shower, and you're fine. So just get out there. Don't let the heat stop you.
So one other thing you said that I want to highlight that I'm really happy you said, because I don't think enough of us think of it in these terms, when you talk about Lorenzo and fear. And I think we fall into a trap of he knows what we knew. He understood what was happening from the point we sit at. When you think about it, when you said it, for some reason, it just took me to that moment and thinking, what was going through his mind? What did he think was happening? From the footage I've seen, after a slight driving and trying to get away, or even not even get away, but trying to move more quickly, he brought his van, from what I can tell, to a peaceful stop to see what was happening. It feels. And so I'm just wondering what must have been going through his mind in that moment. And like you say, fear. And I think a lot in the community do feel fear, especially with the knowledge of what's happening in different areas and what's going on, when all of a sudden there's a group of cars chasing you or coming after you in an aggressive manner, when people approach your vehicle in an aggressive manner, or even non-aggressive, just approaching you. What must have gone through his mind and from what I can tell, his behavior seemed non-aggressive from what we have seen. So, Cindy, thank you for sharing that with us and giving us a different way to think about him, the man that was in that vehicle that is no longer with us. Thank you for calling, Cindy.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
713-440-8870. That's the number to let us know your thoughts. Dolores from Galveston, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
About the immigration enforcement, I feel like that what any of these people have been fearing, as well as the protesters, is fear, absolute terror. And they've shown absolutely no video of him trying to run into an officer. And where we are right now as a country is where we have been like in the 1970s, where there's no accountability for the police, and we were sticking dogs and fire station hoses on our black population. So we've got, I was in the United States Navy, and I took an oath to the Constitution. And if the President of the United States cannot adhere to the constitutional rights, then, where are we? Where are we going now? How much more of our rights are we going to lose? If I decide to go to a protest, am I going to get shot because I'm protesting? And I have protested. And people just look at you like, have you lost your mind? And so many times in our history, we've done this over and over and over again, where we pick a population that we decide to eradicate, or at least do our best. And it's all in white supremacy, white male supremacy. And I'm afraid for my granddaughters, for their future. I'm afraid to go anywhere by myself now, that I might get caught up in something. And I don't even know what to say. I'm just saying I grew up in this, and I thought we were so far past everything that we are doing right now.
Yeah. Dolores, our hearts go out to you, but we need so much more than just, as they often say, thoughts and prayers. We need to see things, straightened out, fixed. We have to find a way to treat each other with humanity. And yes, there may be problems in immigration and our immigration policy, but this is, from where I sit, this is not the way to go about it.
I completely agree.
Dolores, thank you for sharing with us, and I'm sorry the fear you have to live in. That's not the American dream we've all been promised, and nobody should have to feel that way in their own country, in their own home. And I'm sorry that you do feel that way. But I do appreciate your calling and sharing it with us so that others can hear this sentiment. And thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, we do want to make a quick note that this is stories like that are what make all this matter. Stories like that and hearing from the community is what makes Hello Houston matter. And right now we're in the midst of our On-Air Resiliency Fund campaign. It is going to be triple match for the rest of the hour. So give us a call, please, 888-909-0887 if you want to make a donation. It's going to be tripled during this hour. You can also go to houstonpublicmedia.org/donate. Consider making an ongoing gift, a one-time gift, whatever you think is best for your finances. It's going to help us out and continue to bring that reporting and get that reporting out into the community to where then they can hear us on shows like Hello Houston and Houston Matters. So give us a call. Again, that number is 888-909-0887, houstonpublicmedia.org/donate. It is triple match for the rest of the hour. We're going to continue with Hello Houston and talk a little bit about a disease you may have heard of, an illness you may have heard of in your vegetables, in your lettuce. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues.
We know you value Houston Public Media. That's why you're watching right now. So take the next step and become a new member of the station you rely on. Every gift makes a difference. And what matters most right now is supporting the station that brings you the news and information you rely on. It only takes a minute to make a big difference. So join as a new member today at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 800-364-8300.
These tariffs in Trump's second term are much more extensive, they're much more global. So the net effect might be that the Trump administration really has reordered the global economy for good.
I'm Natalie Kitroeff. That's Today on the Daily from the New York Times.
You can listen to The Daily. It's on tonight at 7.
Houston Matters is your essential daily guide to the people, places, issues, and ideas that define Greater Houston.
These counties have been growing a lot.
I think what has been holding us back is the fact that for 2 legislative sessions, schools didn't really get an increase in funding.
If the storm surge comes up the ship channel, that's a nightmare.
There's an acceptance at cons that you don't get elsewhere. No judgment, and it's beautiful.
I'm Craig Cohen. Join us for the next Houston Matters, weekday mornings at 9 here on News 88.7.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you and from Baylor College of Medicine. With over 125 years of innovation behind it, Baylor has driven progress in health and medicine through research, education, and care that push the frontiers of modern science.
Houston's next big story won't wait. Your gift to Houston Public Media's Resiliency Fund helps replace rescinded federal funding and keeps us ready. Give now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now Ernie Manous and guest host Michael Adkison.
Cases of cyclosporiasis, an intestinal illness linked to unwashed raw produce, continues to be on the rise across the country, with the health department of both the city of Houston and Harris County having reported a combined total of only 34 confirmed cases. But if you're one of those 34, it seems like a lot. While the CDC has reported there has been no death from this illness, it can, in some cases, lead to hospitalization, with the most common symptoms being frequent bowel movements and sometimes flu-like symptoms. We share this with you during the lunchtime hour. I apologize. To help us better understand this and how we can prevent it and what we're seeing in the city of Houston, we're joined again by one of our favorite regular guests, Dr. Catherine Troisi, epidemiologist with UTHealth School of Public Health. Dr. T, welcome back to the program.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Okay, so how serious is this? How much should we be concerned?
So, luckily, deaths, if they ever occur, are extremely rare from cyclosporiasis. But, I've heard it said about food poisoning, you may not die, but you're going to wish you would, because it can be pretty miserable. And the problem with this particular GI illness is that it often can last for a long time without antibiotic treatment. Whereas most other ones will resolve after a couple of days.
With treatment, how quickly do we see resolution?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm actually not sure, but I'm assuming that it's within just a couple of days. But that's why it's important if you have these symptoms, and they vary from person to person, but most everybody has that watery diarrhea. You may have heard it called explosive diarrhea. So if you've had that for more than a couple days, get tested.
Yeah. It's also important, too, just a little side note, if you do have watery diarrhea or diarrhea in general, there's always the fear of dehydration, correct? And especially this time of the year, stay hydrated. That this can really wreak havoc on your system, even if it isn't this bug, but it's something else. Just always remember that's an important note.
Water is important.
I do like the fact that you pronounced it correctly as opposed to my very fancy way of saying the name of this this bacteria or whatever it actually is. My thought is go out, eat wherever you want. At this point, all the food industry knows that it's out there, so they've already taken precautions. Am I wrong to assume that?
I would say maybe not eat without any caution. Okay. We still don't know that there are 5 states in the Midwest that the outbreak appears to be related to lettuce from Taylor Farms that get their lettuce from central Mexico. But we have outbreaks in 37, I guess that would be 32 other states that we don't know where it's coming from. And you may have heard, I think it was yesterday it must have been yesterday, that the FDA had found cyclospora in lettuce not from that particular outbreak. So they were telling everybody not to eat Taylor lettuce. Well, it turns out it was a false positive. So we just really don't know where it's coming from. If you want to be certain, really limit what uncooked produce you are either ordering in a restaurant or serving at home. Heat will kill it. If you heat food to 158 degrees, freezing will not.
Okay. Help me understand this then a little bit. What exactly are we talking about here? And has this always just been around in our fruits and vegetables? Why now?
So it has always been around, although it was first identified in the 1970s. It is a parasite. It is not a bacteria, it's a parasite. And but we always thought it was only in tropical areas. It wasn't till the 90s that we found it in the United States. We have seen outbreaks before, for sure. We had a big one in Houston that was in the 90s that was linked to raspberries from Guatemala. But I'm sorry, I'm fighting a cold. We've always had cases. They often don't get identified if they resolve. But this, I would hazard a guess, is going to be the biggest outbreak we've seen, and it may be due to climate change, like most everything.
So help me with this then. It's been around. It comes back and forth. What would lead to an outbreak? And by that, I mean, what would lead to it spreading in enough vegetables in a particular farm or multiple farms in this moment that would then cause this outbreak?
Well, it has to do with distribution of food. So Taylor Farms is a very big producer. So a lot of people eat their product. There's actually a lot we don't know about this parasite. It hasn't been studied a lot. And we actually are not positive how the parasite gets on the produce. The parasite does not spread from person to person. It has to, if you have cyclosporiasis, you excrete the parasite, it has to live outside your body for about a week before somebody else can be infected. So the way that we think that produce, lettuce, other things it's been linked to, as I said, raspberries are particularly difficult because, if you think about all those little facets, they're hard to clean. So they get, the produce gets infected either from contaminated water that hasn't been treated, raw sewage, or sometimes in Central American countries that a lot of our produce comes from, the workers, and I'm sorry, this is going to be gross, the workers do not have bathroom breaks. Oh. And so they may just defecate in the fields, and that can contaminate the produce as well. So it's produce that we don't cook. As I said, if you cook it to 158 degrees, that will kill the parasite. But we don't cook lettuce. We don't cook, I guess you could cook raspberries, but we don't usually. It's been linked to cilantro, to snow peas, to basil. And we have had outbreaks where we haven't even identified where the source is.
We talk so often about how many pesticides we use and how unhealthy our vegetables are because we're spraying them with chemicals all the time. Does that not help with this parasite?
No.
Wow.
Sorry.
Well, I was hoping there was going to be a silver lining in all the pesticide use, but that doesn't help us, huh?
No, and one of there are 3 reasons this outbreak has grown so quickly. Or one is that because the average incubation period is a week, it can be up to 2 weeks. It's very difficult for people to remember what they ate a week ago. Now, they may remember going to Taco Bell or another restaurant, but if it's something at home, they probably don't remember. The other thing is that for some bacteria that cause GI illnesses, we have genetic fingerprinting. So we have a good method to tell whether cases are linked. If the bacteria looks the same, we don't have that for the parasite. And then, of course, we have had cutbacks in public health funding. CDC does not track foods, some of the foods that they used to for outbreaks. And there was a system that was supposed to go into effect in 2026. It has been postponed to 2028 that will help identify. So when Taco Bell, and I don't mean to pick on Taco Bell, but when they get their lettuce, their shredded lettuce, there will be some sort of numbering system so they can tell exactly what field they came from. You can imagine that these big produce producers have huge fields. This way you could trace it, but it's not going into effect right away.
Mm-hmm. We are speaking with Dr. Catherine Troisi, an epidemiologist with UTHealth School of Public Health. If you would like to join the conversation, give us a call or text 713-440-8870. Dr. Troisi, question for you. We had glossed over something that you said earlier that I'd love for you to expound on. I believe I knew what you were referring to, but when we talked about why this was spreading, you said climate change. Explain that. What does climate change have to do with this?
Yeah, it appears, we know that Cyclospora outbreaks occur for the most part in the summer. So that would indicate, and as I said, there's a lot that hasn't been studied about this parasite. But the fact that we see outbreaks in the summer would indicate that it needs warmer temperatures to reproduce. I'm not sure that's the correct term for parasites, but to make more Cyclospora. And as our summers get longer and hotter, then there's more Cyclospora around.
More due for bacteria and other, fungi to get into people's systems and cause, bad things to happen, I believe is the proper medical term, shall we say.
Thank you, Dr.
Yes.
Yeah, well, and the other thing we are seeing are insect-borne diseases. They're called arboviruses. It's a group of different kinds of viruses, but like dengue and chikungunya and Zika. And again, because of climate change, the mosquitoes live longer and I live more of the year. I don't mean, each individual insect lives longer. So we are seeing increases in arboviruses as well.
Steve commented on our YouTube channel, I had a friend who had it a few weeks ago. She said it was horrific. She was vomiting and going to the bathroom for hours to the point where they had to take her to the ER. I hope nobody gets this. So we are talking about truly an uncomfortable situation. You had said earlier that unmedicated, unsupervised, it's not an easy road. If you don't get care for it, does the parasite just continue to live within your system, or does your body have some way of resisting against it after time?
It depends on the person. About 9% of people, so 1 out of 11, have to be hospitalized, which shows you how serious it can be. The other thing about this infection is that you may have diarrhea for a couple of days a week, and then it goes away. So you think you're good, and then it comes back. Mm-hmm. So it is, some people will resolve it without antibiotics, but it certainly shortens the course if you can get treatment.
Talking about this, I'm curious, you look at a lot of different things, a lot of different elements out there that can impact our lives. What else is on the horizon that you're concerned with that we should be paying attention to at this point?
Well, you may be aware that last week we had West Nile virus reported in Houston and Harris County. Now that happens every year, but it's still something good to be on the lookout for, to dress appropriately if you're outside from dusk to dawn, to use DEET to stop mosquitoes from biting you, to drain any standing water that may be around where mosquitoes can breed. So certainly in the summer, we're worried about those mosquito-borne viruses.
As we let you go, last thing to remember on this. So you're saying don't eat raw vegetables, cook them. 158 degrees will kill it. Be precautious as we go through this. I guess cooked lettuce isn't really a hot item that a lot of people are dying to have during the summer months, but we've got to watch out.
Right, and I'm not saying you can't. We talk about risk reduction. I mean, the safest way is to not eat raw vegetables, but you can lower your risk significantly by really washing them well.
Well, we're going to try and do that. Just like we had to wash our hands before, now we got to wash our vegetables too. We lived through that. Yep. We'll live through this.
Yep.
Dr. Kathleen Troisi is an epidemiologist with the UTHealth School of Public Health. Dr. Troisi, thank you for joining us here on Hello Houston.
Thank you for having me.
Coming up, we spotlight a Houston nonprofit that's giving unused clothes a second life. Stay with us as Hello Houston continues.
We are in our on-air resiliency fund campaign because we need to be ready before you need us.
Yeah, before the next storm, before election night, before the next story you're trying to understand, we want to be there for you.
And as you know, Houston Public Media lost $2.2 million in annual federal support. And this campaign we're in right now helps us to make up for that loss.
We still need $541,000 to reach that goal and ensure this station is here well into the future. I know that sounds like a lot of money, but every single gift, whether it's $5, $500, maybe even $5,000, every single one of those gifts we receive is going to go straight into reaching that goal.
Yeah, your gift helps keep this service ready for the moment when you tune to it. So give right now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or give us a call at 888-909-0887.
And if you've been thinking, maybe there's a better time for me to donate, maybe there's a good moment for me to donate, we're telling you right now is that moment because it will be tripled. This is the extra boost that we need. Elena and Kenneth Marks are tripling donations right now. They have made a generous contribution to say that, hey, whatever donation comes in that noon hour, we will triple it. So you have to take advantage of this in order to get that deal. Don't wait. This will not last. Give now and get your gift tripled and do 3 times as much to support the news of Greater Houston. Give your gift and get it tripled at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
PBS, NPR, public media is where many families begin learning together. Susan, a Houston Public Media listener, bonded with her child over Sesame Street. Now she tunes to Houston Public Media for local news and stories. She says public media matters to families. It matters to reliable news listeners, and it matters to anyone who wants to know what's happening locally. Your support right now helps keep the connection alive for Houston families. So give now and give generously at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887. And remember, all gifts tripled right now. So we need to hear from you now.
I'm Michael Schaefer. My partner,
It's not just your car. It's the one that brought your kids home from school, took you cross country, held memories, laughter, even a few breakdowns. When it's time to let go, give your car a new purpose. Donate it and turn memories into meaningful support for this station. Plus, you'll enjoy free and easy pickup, potential tax benefits, and a simple donation process. Your gift supports the programs you and your family love. Donate today and help keep public media strong. Call or donate online.
Didn't see coming. The characters you can't stop thinking about. HPM Plus puts your favorite PBS series on demand, so you never have to miss a moment. Catch up on past seasons with Passport, or stream live whenever the mood strikes.
All your favorite shows.
Search HPM Plus on your smart and connected TVs. The next chapter is waiting.
On HPM Plus. Support comes from Alley Theater, inviting audiences to stay cool with its Summer Chills tradition. The Girl on the Train, a psychological thriller based on the best-selling novel, opens July 24th. Tickets at alleytheater.org.
Cuts to funding won't silence this station, but they do make your support more vital than ever.
Houston Public Media brings you facts, local, national, and global, free to everyone. But it's your support that makes it possible.
In a changing media landscape, you are the reason we are on the air. Keep it local. Keep it free.
Give now at houstonpublicmedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
And now back to Hello Houston. To comment on today's topics, call or text 713-440-8870 or email us at talk@hellohouston.org. And now Ernie Manous and guest host Michael Adkison.
Conscious Consumer Collective is a Houston area nonprofit that is dedicated to building a community that supports conscious consumerism and making clothing accessible to all. The nonprofit hosts local events such as the Houston Clothing Swap and the Children's Clothing Swap. to promote clothing sustainability by allowing attendees to bring and take clothes, shoes, and accessories, giving these items a second life. To tell us more about their work and the upcoming Children's Clothing Swap, we are joined by Sam Lopez, the co-founder of Conscious Consumer Collective. Sam, welcome to Hello Houston.
Thank you for having me. Wow, you really nailed it. I feel like, why am I
We're
here?
done. Interview's done. We're over.
No,
Tell us about that. What kind of inspired this sort of work that you guys do?
So the Houston Clothing Swap really is what kickstarted it all for us. Conscious Consumer Collective came after the Houston Clothing Swap really essentially established itself. We wanted to do clothing swaps in Houston before we started. It really wasn't happening. And so we started. It was myself, my co-founders, Diana Spechler, Raquel Sandate, and we thought we were going to do one clothing swap and be done. But we did the one, and then people really showed up, and we immediately knew, okay, we need to do another. And so it was that need in Houston and the community for something like this. There was just this urgency that we had to continue to do it. And so from that, it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And so we were able to form Conscious Consumer Collective, in doing so, our nonprofit. And it's been incredible to watch it become what it is.
It's silly because the one phrase that comes to mind for me is one man's trash is another man's treasure. And as much as that sounds dismissive of the item, what it's really saying is just because it's no longer of use to you doesn't mean it's not of use to someone else. Precisely. And there is so much waste in our communities and so many things we buy and move on, or in my case, they no longer fit right. Mm-hmm. You know, that doesn't mean that they're bad clothes. They need a new home, and you guys help do that.
Yeah, I think you really nailed it. One of the things that we like to emphasize is clearing out your closet, and just because it's something that doesn't serve you doesn't mean it won't serve somebody else. Mm-hmm. It might be collecting dust in the back of your closet, or it still has tags attached, and it just doesn't bring you joy. But with those types of items, we see people bringing those and immediately gets pulled, and someone just lights up because this was exactly what they were looking for. Maybe it was for a job interview, or they're going to a birthday party, or they're going to an event, and they just feel like they're not prepared, or they don't have the funds to afford clothing like that.
Talk a little bit about, you just touched on it, and I think it's a fascinating concept people need to think about, how much individuals limit their life by not feeling properly attired.
Yeah.
That it is a block on so much of exploring and experiencing what life has to offer.
It is very true. We stop ourselves from experiences because we feel ill-prepared. Mm-hmm. And our goal is to really make clothing accessible for all, so that you don't have that roadblock of, oh, I can't attend this event, or, oh, I don't deserve to be in this space because I don't look the part. But we really just want to make clothing accessible for all, and so that nobody feels like they can't be in the rooms that they deserve to be in.
Take us back to children, too, with school and school clothing.
Yeah. Well, children are outgrowing their clothes constantly. And so we really wanted to continue that momentum of keeping clothing in circulation. So you don't have to throw it away or feel like you have to hold on to something that you don't have to hold on to. And so kids can rebuild their wardrobes for back to school if parents feel like they just don't have the funds for it this year. They can't afford a new backpack or a lunchbox or shoes and things like that. But also new parents, if they have never had the experience of having kids in their lives, they can build wardrobes from scratch and leave with bags and bags full, or even wagons full, and they can completely just start anew.
Let's take a step back and sort of contextualize this. You know, if I'm someone, which this is the truth, I've never been to a clothing swap before. How does it work, and what would I need to know if I was listening right now? And I was like, that sounds interesting.
I love that question, and we get that question every day. So the way that we operate with our clothing swap is you bring as many clothes as you want and you take as many clothes as you want. It's unlimited. So that also could mean that if you don't have anything to bring, that's okay. You can take as much as you need, because, again, it ties us back into our mission of making clothing accessible for all. So you bring clothes, lightly worn, no ripped or stained, and if you can bring them on hangers or folded, that really helps our volunteers, because they're the ones who set up this space so that it feels like an elevated shopping experience. Mm-hmm. So it's organized by size and color and category. So when you walk into the space, it feels like you're shopping for free. You grab something, you take it off of the hanger, you put it in your bag, you keep going. And then at the end of it, when you feel that you're done, you leave. So it's like you're shopping minus the checkout at the end.
But also, the word that pops to mind is respect.
Yeah.
It shows respect, gives you respect to be able to come and get what you need without feeling as though you are there with your hand out in need.
It is true. And it really does feel like you're shopping. And for kids, for example, maybe they've never had that experience of a shopping spree. And this could be their first time having that. And it's, like I said, because it's unlimited, it gives you that feeling of respect. And we often have people who get really excited because it's their very first time and they're like, oh my gosh, I can take all of this. But then once you're faced with having an abundance of clothing in front of you, you shop with more intention. Oh, will I actually wear this? Oh, will this actually fit me? Oh, do I actually know somebody who this would serve better? And they'll save it for the next person. Yeah. And there really is so much intention surrounding it, and it's really beautiful to see.
You talk about the economy of it, but also the ecology of it and the saving our planet of a world where so much is produced and so much sits in landfills. Talk about that objective.
That's a huge reason why we do what we do, is to save these clothes from entering a landfill. Because you mentioned before, one man's trash is another man's treasure. It doesn't have to become trash. All of the clothes that we've ever worn on our bodies still are on Earth. Whether it's still in the back of your closet or your mom's closet, or if it's sitting in a landfill somewhere, it's going to be here. It doesn't just magically poof away. And so this is our solution to preventing those clothes from entering a landfill and remaining in circulation as long as possible.
One more time to remind folks, because it's an important time for parents with back to school. As you said, that can often be a very expensive time for parents. There's many in our community who can't even afford that.
Yeah.
And so they're sending their kids ill-prepared. Kids feel uncomfortable in school. Now they're worried about that as opposed to learning. It does have a ripple effect.
It does, yeah. And we don't want there to be any kids who feel like, I can't go to school feeling like I have a fresh new set of clothes like all my friends do. I can just start. And so all of that stress is alleviated because of something like a clothing swap. Yeah. And we hope to help the next generations to think more mindfully about that too, so that they never feel like they have to go without.
Sam, great work. Thank you for coming in and sharing it with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Sam Lopez is a co-founder of the local nonprofit Conscious Consumer Collective. And the children's clothing swap we were talking about will take place on Sunday, July 26th. For more information, visit consciousconsumercollective.org. And that brings us to the end of the show today. But this is something I'm really excited that I get to say. It's usually Mondays with Michael, but you're going to make Tuesday with Michael.
Tuesdays with Michael. I know. I'm like a pest. You just can't get rid of me.
I know. I'm going to have to call Dr. Troisi to find out what I have to do to get rid of you, Michael.
There you go.
But I don't want to get that fixed yet.
No.
Because I'll have you back
We have
tomorrow.
one more day.
Okay, and I hope you'll all join us back here again tomorrow, where we'll be sharing with you the news of the day and a lot of other things, as well as exploring Houston's stray animal crisis. We'll be talking about that tomorrow and so much more. Join us for Hello Houston. We're in our on-air Resiliency Fund campaign, and we need people like you to step up right now and make a gift, because that gift right now will be tripled, but only for a little less than 4 more minutes.
I know, you got to take advantage of it now. That's right. A $100 donation turns into $300 for Houston Public Media. So if Houston Public Media and News 88.7 matters to you, or just NPR and PBS matter to you, we really do need to hear from you. You turn to this station every single day to keep you informed, and now is the time to take a step and support the station that you rely on.
We lost $2.2 million in federal support each year. You can help us make that up. This community coming together can make a difference.
I know, and we still need $540,000 to get us there, to get us where we would have been had we had that federal funding. And we know that is a big number and a long way still to go, but every single gift is going to get us a little bit closer. So please don't hesitate and make that gift right now.
And don't assume someone else is going to cover it. We need you right now. So give at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909 909-0887.
And we keep saying that your donation right now for just 3 more minutes is going to be tripled. Thanks to Elena and Kenneth Marks. Do even more at a time when Houston Public Media really needs your help. If you like what you just heard on Hello Houston and you want to keep it going, donate now. We're in our first year without federal funding, which coincided with Hello Houston's first year, and that means we're really relying on this community for strong support. And you know what? This triple match is going to help. So please consider donating to Houston Public Media today, right now, for 2.5 more minutes, because that's going to be the best bang for your buck. HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate, or pick up the phone and call 888-909-0887.
Have that gift tripled. So $1 becomes $3, $100, $300. You know how the math works, but it doesn't start until you make that donation. We've got just about 2 minutes left to triple your donation. Yes, we will still be asking for your help and support, and I hope you will heed our call. But if you do it right now, it will mean 3 times as much to this organization. We cannot do it without you. You have to start the process, but once you do, we'll take care of all the rest. You just make the most generous gift you feel comfortable and are able to give, and it will then be tripled. Where do you do this? HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate, or simply by calling 888-909-0887.
Thanks for listening to Hello Houston. Join us every Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to talk all things Houston. The Hello Houston production team includes Garrett Bowman, William Menjivar, Jen Altai, Todd Holslander, and Jim Kovacic. For the latest in local news, subscribe to the Hello Houston daily newsletter at HoustonPublicMedia.org. Hello Houston is a production of Houston Public Media. The opinions expressed by the guests of this program are solely their own and do not represent the views of management, staff, or underwriters of Houston Public Media.
Support for Houston Public Media comes from listeners like you and from attorney mediator Ron Bankston, providing in-person, video conference, and hybrid mediation and arbitration services. More information is available at Ron Bankston.